Hello, kind people. This is Dmitry. Welcome to, what usually is my weekly listener recap, but we have to interrupt our programming to talk about this puzzle, which is on your screen. As you can see, it's not a listener puzzle, it is a Magpie puzzle, and it is by Stymphalides. Now, Stymphalides is a setter duo of Arcadia and Hedge Sparrow, and this is their second puzzle. The first one featured here. I recorded a video about it, and it was my favorite puzzle of the Magpie from, I think it was 2 years ago. That was about the log flight in Tardebigge. I still don't know how to pronounce it 2 years later, which I guess, among other things, shows you that I have not managed to make my pilgrimage there yet. And so now we have another puzzle by Stymphalides, so let's have a look at the preamble. It might be a longer video, so so let's dive in. Clues are presented in the normal order. Bars which would display 180 symmetry are not required in the submissions. Central cell and clashes in 10 cells represent thematic landmarks positioned in the grid with rough geographical accuracy. So if you solved the previous Stymphalides puzzle, this will sound familiar. The central cell also represents the start and end of a journey in which the landmarks are visited in sequence. Also familiar. All 10 clues in each set whose entries contribute to the clashes must receive a letter missing from the definition and send an extra letter generated by the wordplay to another such clue. As well as being delivered to the first recipient clue, marked in each clue set by an asterisk, the last letter donated must be entered in the central cell. The received letters in sequence spell a description of what the grid represents. All other clues include an extra, loosely thematic word, which must be removed to enable solving. The first letters of these words spell 2 additional thematic features. And then there is some endgame that we need to highlight the name of the person connected with the central landmark and the overall theme. We need to replace the contents of the 10 clash cell with any representative symbol, and we need to highlight those 2 additional features which are represented by the appropriately shaped letters. Now, so I guess first I just want to talk a little bit about why this is hard. And of course it is hard because we don't know which clues are which, and this gimmick is really tricky. It's not too dissimilar to what happened in their first puzzle, where the gimmick was mimicking how the log flight works. So there was also some letter received by each clue and some letter donated to the next one, which I guess corresponded to how the water kind of trickles through the log. Now, so how does this work here? So that means that in each of these thematic clues, and there are 10 acrosses and 10 downs of which, and as you see, the across one is here and the down one is here. And there is one sort of extra feature of which I did not appreciate until very late in solving, and I probably could have realized what was going on earlier. And in that, I didn't realize that they were somehow connected. I treated them fairly independently. I thought, okay, there are 10 clashes. Each clash apparently comes by, combining one across and one down answer, in that and there are 10 such across clues and 10 such down clues, which kind of means that none of the entry corresponds to more than one clash. And they thought, okay, so there is some set of 10 across clues which are involved in the clashes, and they behave in this manner that suppose, if this is clue involved in one clash and this is the second one in certain order, then, and I just chose a random one here. These are not, I don't think these are thematic. So then this clue would be both missing a definition, missing a letter in the definition. So we have to insert a letter somewhere in the definition. and simultaneously its wordplay will generate an answer with an extra letter, which then gets donated to another clue. And so we have this chain of letters being sent between different clues. And this, again, like as we'll see, this gimmick is very much a thematic one. So how does one even start here? I guess like whenever I see the carte blanche, I usually start by examining the lengths of the crosses. And here, what you see in the parentheses is indeed the answer length. And because there's no indication of the other in the preamble. And so what this means is that because we know that the bars have to display symmetry, we can then label some of the answers as definitely being involved in the clashes. For example, here is 7, 6. And by the way, the grid is 13 by 13. So 7 and 6 together could nicely fit in the whole row. But this is 7, 7. And so because we know that there should be a 180-degree symmetry, this 7 could not be the entry length. And that means that you have to cram more than one letter into one cell. And that means that, this would be one of the, thematic clues which would need, say, a letter reinstated for the definition. And for example, here I immediately thought that Islander might be a good place for this missing letter to be inserted. And then we can carry on, especially with the crosses where it's easier because the symmetry is obvious. So 8, 7, and here we have 8, 5. So, oops, here is another one. Trying to remember what was the misprint here, and I kind of fail. What was it? Okay, we'll get there. And then, 6, 7, 6, 7, that's okay. Then 6, again, that's fine. 4, 5. So again, like this is another one. Which here is 4, but here is... Oh, no, that's wrong. Oh, it's actually this one, right? Sorry, it's this one. This is not new. We already knew from this asterisk that it is thematic, but hey. And then we have 5, 8, 6, 6. Okay, so this is all we can get, kind of straight away. And then so the next thing you're trying to do is you identify where is the midpoint in the cross clues, and you're trying to see how this could be fit in the grid. So for example, here you have 6 and 6, and so it's very likely that they just go here and there, right? Because it's rather weird if, and obviously they may be short in the, so I mean they might contain clashes, and so they do not need to occupy like this whole block of 6 cells each, but they're likely to go on this row because the alternative is just to not have any cross clues here, and this seems unlikely, and so on. Similarly, I thought it's probably the case that these two clues both live on the first row, and chances are occupy the whole of it. But I was prepared to correct as I get the information about the clashes and as I actually solve the clues. So I think what I will do now is I'll try to go to various stages in the process of solving, and because I kind of made the several snapshots as I was going along, because I knew Stymphalides puzzle is probably something I would like to make a video on. So here is, and I think I might need to pause here. So this is where I ended up after a couple of hours of solving. Yeah. So this was my first word in the grid. And I kind of provisionally put it here, but I was again prepared to correct this. And indeed, I think I ended up, I mean, this is wrong. This is not how it ends up in the grid. And the reason why I thought it was wrong is because I realized that this is actually one of the thematic clues. And so it is not most pay, it is most pacey. So you have to, and this is how I indicated them. So you plus C minus T means that C gets donated to this clue and inserted in the definition. And then the way you get to this is you anagram pretty plus SS, which is sums on the vacation, and the broad is an anagram indicator. Now pretty SS is 8 letters, and so you anagram that and you get surprised, plus you get an extra T. And so this T is then donated. And so because we're building this chain that, you know, of 10 letters, somewhere in this chain C leads to T, and so this is what you can note. And so every time you solve a clue, you get 2 neighbors in the chain. Did I solve? Yeah, and at this stage I solved some other clues. I recognized some of the down clues as the thematic ones, and I started, and I also solved some non-thematic clues. Specifically, here I made a mistake by thinking that this focus of pay TV is the last letter of, basically I needed this to give me a letter Y for this to work. And focus, I thought focus could mean the last letter, which is of course wrong. And so what I should have done is, instead of pay TV, the extra word is survey, which I have to remove. And then focus of pay TV is the central letter of pay TV, which is a Y, which works. And that means that here the correct letter is S, but I discovered it way, way later. So for the time being, I thought that this landmark ends with H, R, what is it? Sorry, H, E, E from earliths, R, and P, whereas of course the correct one was this, which is a much more natural ending. And what else could I? Oh yeah, and but however, one interesting thing happened at this stage already. Namely, I solved this clue: investigates weird truncated geosite on atlasquest.com. This is an easy clue. It basically is just an anagram of truncated geosite on, so you get rid of this E and you get the word goes into, 2 words goes into, which is investigates. And that means that this atlasquest.com is an extra thing. How weird to put this in the clue. So I obviously went and checked what this URL is, and it turns out this is a letterboxing website. And that was probably the first time, already at this stage, I realized this could have been about letterboxing, and the origin of letterboxing, this Victorian thing which sort of is a precursor of geocaching and lots of other nice activities, is of course my favorite place in the whole country, Dartmoor. And so I thought, could this actually be somehow representing the map of Dartmoor? And so spoiler alert, this turned out to be exactly right. Well, it represents like a particular part of Dartmoor, but more on that later. So, but you know, at this stage I had one wrongly positioned thing in the grid. Let's move on. Then I was somehow at this stage. You know, this goes into was positioned, this ejection was positioned, and, you know, I managed to solve much more clues, and finally I got some, you letters checked and falling into place, I also realized that my idea of this, so, for this to work, this set pot had to go here. Now, the 7-letter word, which was this symmetric to the spryest there, turned out to be rostral. And so rostral doesn't have any T at the end. And so either there was a clash somewhere here, there's like a 1-letter clash, or rostral had to be shortened. And because I kind of I'm just trying to remember whether there were any more crossings at this stage. Maybe not, but somehow I thought it's more likely that this actually does not occupy the whole 7 letters and is going on here. And so that means that spryest also goes here. And I think around this point I realized that, so here we have the word store, and we get it from, these are colonnades with cover instead of over. A 7C stout base set in prime position, so 7C is S, and then you get stout base set in prime position, which gives you TOA, no, it gives you TOTAE, and so you have an extra T, which you then gets donated, plus the word store, which is a plural of the colonnade with covered colonnade. And so that means that if this S is indeed here, it is clashing. And I was trying to see what could be it clashing with if I put spryest here. So then, S goes here, R goes here, P goes here, R goes here, and you get YE there, and then ST. And you get the word yes. And very much at this stage, I realized that this is where my heart sort of, I was delighted that I recognized that yes is actually a name of a Tor on Dartmoor, and I realized that my obsession with Dartmoor, about which I kind of have to say a few words now, very much is rewarded in this puzzle. So if we now look at the OS map of Dartmoor, and if we go here towards the north of the common, we can see that right here we get yes Tor, not that far from Okehampton. I'm trying to remember whether I actually was on top of. Yeah, I think I went to yes Tor. One of the walks we did in Dartmoor, like the multi-day ones, was from Okehampton. We camped somewhere here, and then we proceeded south to Cranmerpool, and then further to Post Bridge. And this was actually my only time in this particular area of Dartmoor, which is the area used by the military. I mean, Dartmoor is my absolute favorite place in England, and I've been there many times, and I can go there over and over again. And I have a whole shelf in downstairs with books about Dartmoor, including some reasonably rare ones. I have Eric Hammery there. I have a couple of early 19th century publications. I have obviously Crossing, although a later reprint, but the Letters to Southey. I have Rose, Perambulation of Dartmoor, and yeah, I mean, if I am collecting something, like books on Dartmoor is one thing I'm definitely collecting. So if you have any rare books on Dartmoor, I would be very grateful. Now, okay, so I realized this is yes Tor, and that, because I then expected like the whole all town things to be Tors, this made my life so much easier because now I know what I'm looking for. So the next stage was, around this time here, I realized, what could this thing down here be? And I realized that, for example, if you put here UGH, you could get rough Tor out of it. And so let's see what the next stage was. The next stage was, yeah, so here, okay, that doesn't seem to be like all that different. But here, for example, something needs to be added to this, and the obvious choice is black Tor. And there is indeed black Tor. And if we, oh, sorry, I realized I'm still showing you the map. That is a bit annoying. I'm not going to re-record the whole video out of it, but yeah, basically, this was the next stage. And I realized that here you could add BL to ACK and get black Tor. And if we now go to the map again, somewhat to southwest of Yes Tor, we indeed can see black Tor. Above this, Black Tor Corpse, which is one of the 3 ancient oak woodlands on Dartmoor, and it is like stunningly beautiful, this place. I mean, maybe I can even... It's slightly less known than Wistman's Wood, but, you know, just look at this. This is absolutely amazing. And yeah, the third one being Pyle's Corpse, which is in the south of Dartmoor. And like among those books in my library, like one of the articles in one of them is actually like specifically about those 3 woodlands, comparing them and checking whether like how unique they are in like countrywide. Okay, back to the puzzle. And as you probably could have guessed by now, I don't need like any extra excuse to, you know, have a look at Dartmoor OS map. And so I can spend hours doing so. But yeah. So yeah, here you can put black. I think here you can put rough towards RO. Can't remember what goes with FL. Flat, I think, goes there. But anyway, so now we can probably show you... Oh yeah, and maybe around this time, I also realized my mistake here, that it's not... it's actually S what I need there. And so... And I started... and now that I know it's about Dartmoor, I realized that the additional feature from the down clues is Great Weathers, which is this pair of stone circles. And the additional feature from the crosses, from which you can see here, I get TEBEAR, is the Bear Down Man. And so maybe I have to actually go back to the map and show you those. So Grey Weathers is, as you can see, the pair of stone circles. And they, oops, sorry, they look like, okay, not sure how visible it is, but yeah, like you can see 2 stone circles here. And they look like this. And then the Bear Down Man is a standing stone, which is rather striking. Where is it? Where are you? Oh, there it is. So this chap. Now, remember, we will need to position them, like highlight them in the grid somehow. So with that done, I probably could move to the final grid. And also to the, you know, the first to the what was I going to say, to to what the thematic chain spells and to what the central landmark represents. So the thematic, so here you can see all the Tor's positions. So you have Yes Tor, OK Tor, Black Tor, Wild Tor, Stone Tor, Chat Tor, Fur Tor, Flat Tor, Lynch Tor, and Rough Tor. And the chain gives you pictured map. And this repeats in both crosses and downs. And so what actually this corresponds to is letters being sent from one Tor to another. So for example, if you compare, so if you look at the star, like at Yes Tor corresponds to this clue and this clue here. And both of them have plus C minus T. So in fact, it's not so much the individual clues that are doing this, but these locations, they receive and send letters. And this is exactly what's happening in letterboxing. So, you know, there are these hidden little letterboxes on Dartmoor, and, you know, you can exchange letters through them. And the most famous letterbox on Dartmoor, and I probably have to go to the map again, is on Cranmer Pool. Maybe this is the first one as well. I'm not so sure. So let me find Cranmer Pool. Cranmer Pool is this amazing. Is in the place where, you know, quite a lot of different rivers going in like all the different directions start, and so it's extremely wet there, and so the only time I was there was sort of the driest possible summer, and so I was absolutely fine there. But as you can see, even on the OS map, it shows Cranmer Pool letterbox, and there it is. This is now looking like all very fancy with Dartmoor National Park, and yeah. The pool itself is, I think, in the weather, like when this was taken, I guess it's completely dry. So this is it. I think it was dry when I was there as well. But anyway, so this is the central location, and from there, I guess the idea is that you can visit these 10 tours and send letters, you know. One must also say that there is something called 10 Tour Challenge on Dartmoor, so maybe that's also like a nod to that. Anyway, so back to the grid. James Parrott was a Dartmoor guide in the 19th century, and I think he's credited with starting or like contributing at least to establishing letterboxing tradition, and I think he's somehow associated with Cranmer Pool letterbox. And the only thing which is left, okay, we need to replace all the tour names with some symbol. This is a bit awkward because there is no fixed symbol for specifically tours, but I guess like any symbol, like mounts and hill, like, will be accepted. And we then need to highlight Grey Weathers and the Bear Down Man. And as you can see, like these two O's are between Stone Tor and Flat Tor, and this I, which you can probably even better like render as just this type of I, is located just to the west of Rough Tor. And again, going to the map, we can see that the Grey Weathers are very much between what are the tours there that we have on? So what are we looking at? We need them to be between Stone Tor and Flat Tor. So here is Flat Tor, and And this is a stone tor hill, so stone tor is like this group of stones, I guess. And indeed, like gray weathers is between them. And as for the bear down man, we expect to find a bear down man just to the west of rough tor, and indeed there it is. So I think that means that like this is the grid that one has to submit. I don't know whether it's right. It's 4th of March now, and this is very much a March puzzle. So this video is going to be released on, I expect, the 1st of April. And by then I will know whether I made any mistakes. But I hope you enjoyed it. For me, it was basically as close as it could get to a puzzle that is created specifically to me, like extremely niche interest that I am rather keen on. Yeah, and I'm already like dreaming about Dartmoor hike this coming summer. There are so many like puzzle-worthy things in Dartmoor. Like there is Devonport Lead, which is an absolute wonder. There is Haytor Granite Tramway, which is absolutely stunning. Like this is how you build your railway so that it never gets dismantled in beaching cuts. And those 3 woodlands that I mentioned, the Crazywell Pool, the Clapper Bridge at Post Bridge is probably my favorite bridge in the whole world. Yeah, beautiful pubs, beautiful churches, you know. Yeah, like if I'm like thinking of the place where I might eventually like retire and spend my days, it's probably that one. Anyway, so thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this puzzle as much as I did. And I don't think like this is going to be a frequent occurrence, recapping Magpie puzzles, but if something like this happens, kind of have to respond. Thank you for watching. Bye.